Started a little bit here. I don't want to interrupt anybody's meal, but we do want to go ahead and have a nice symposium and have some time to meet our guests and talk and bond, which is the real reason why we're here on this afternoon. I figure they're going to give me a mic first, and other than just seeing my name here, it's nice to know how of all of us how I wound up here, because all these great men are here. I do have top flight security in the world. Anybody have a problem? If I got a problem with anybody, I'm set. But DJ, I love we have that beat, man. That's what makes it kind of informal, yeah. So there you go. So let me say once again, everybody, good afternoon. My name is Tony Love, DJ Tony Love, and back in the days, like at Kiss FM Radio, you probably remember those days. So make sure I am glad to be here as the representative and employee of your Brooklyn Nets, Long Island Nets. I am the official voice of the Long Island Nets. I do all their games at the Nassau Coliseum for the last 5 years. And I would thank you all this evening and this afternoon for having me. Let's have some fun. So we're going to just change our order a little bit. We want to make sure we hear everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have a gentleman that has a time restraint. We want to hear from him first. Khalil, where are you? Khalil, oh. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Khalil. He's going to give you his background himself. Thank you, Khalil.
Appreciate you. Let's give him another round of applause. Brother Love definitely gives that announcer voice. It's all in you, still in you. So good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Good to see everybody here today. How we feeling?
Good.
A little bit more energy. How we feeling, brothers?
Great.
All right. Just checking to see if y'all fed them, because they're a little tired. No, I'm grateful to be here today. I'm State Assembly Member Khalil Anderson. I represent the 31st Assembly District in Southeast Queens. If you live in the neighborhoods of South Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park, Rockaway, Rosedale, or Springfield Gardens, you live in the 31st Assembly District. So I wanted to just come and bring some remarks, but before I do that, I want to thank the pastor of this house, Eric Tootle, for giving us this space. Can you just give him a big round of applause? I want to thank Bridget for pulling this all together. Give her a big round of applause as well. The sisters who are serving us today, we are much grateful and appreciative because the food was good, right? Very good. We thank you all for your support in that space. And so my staff, my Chief of Staff, Carl Valier, who's here today, just stand up really quickly, Chief. Making sure that this got on my schedule because you young men are important, and that's why I'm here today. And Aaron, who just started as our new My Brother's Keeper Fellow in my district office, stand up really quickly. So today is important. This male symposium, boys and male symposium, is important because we want to make sure that we're doing our job as young men, as older men, as accomplished men, as seasoned men, as career men, to help you young boys turn into men and grow into the men that our community need in these moments. When we often say this saying, and I'm sure folks have said it in here, they need to fix the street, or they need to fix the sidewalk, or they need to fix the trains, or they need to fix this, or they need to fix the schools. Like, this is a saying that we often find ourselves saying. But we often don't realize our inner strength and our power to be that they, and to be that decision maker, and to be that person that is able to employ resources in our neighborhood to fix the issues that we've long seen as issues. I want to share a little bit about my story. Being a young man, growing up in Far Rockaway, poor, single-parent household, to now serving you in the state legislature. I served as the youngest African-American ever elected to the state legislature. And I wear that not as my badge of honor, but our badge of honor, because it's important that the powers that be know that Daquan or Taekwon or Aaron or Sean can be that next person who leads our community forward, that the answers to the problems and the issues that are long-standing and systemic in our communities are right here in this room. And so I've been working on the issue of mental health because it's something that I struggled with personally. Being someone who was diagnosed with emotional disturbance and ADHD at age 7, it's been a challenge trying to control all my hyperactivity and all the ideas and all the emotions and all the feelings that I have to really want to do something for our neighbors and improve our neighborhood. So I started out doing block cleanups in my neighborhood, then attending community meetings, to then advocating for issues and pushing the MTA to extend bus service, and just really trying to use my voice to elevate those who have been left behind and forgotten about for so long. And so that's my story, being in the special education system and growing up in that space, knowing that my disability can become my ability if I tap into it and know how to tap into it. And it took men, whether it was a paraprofessional, or whether it was a teacher, whether it was a librarian, to say that this young man can be something, and if I just pour a little bit of what I have into him, he'll be the next mayor, he'll be the next EMT, he'll be the next community affairs, he'll be the next announcer for the Long Island Nets, he'll be the next thing that we're looking towards, being lawyer, doctor, etc. But it takes that pouring in that comes from our generation prior, and even the ones living present. So some of the stuff that I've done, serving as your state assembly member on the issues of mental health and how to mentor our young black men, because I don't want to be the last first. I just want to open the door for the rest of the firsts. All right, that's important. But some of the stuff we've been doing since I've been elected is we always host MBK fellows in our office, My Brother's Keeper fellows, because it gives our young men an opportunity to shadow me, to see what I do as a state legislator, how important it is to make sure that state resources are getting to our community, what we're doing to make sure we're investing in our schools and in our young people. So Aaron gets to get a front row seat of that as well. So we want to make sure we get them out to everything, Chief. So another thing that I've been working on in partnership with the Arthur Ashe Institute. How many of us have heard Arthur Ashe? Famous tennis player, very important, glad you guys know. Another first, right? I've been working with the Arthur Ashe Institute to ensure that we have a barbershop mental health program in our district. And so we started at the sports barbershop in Rosedale in town on 243rd Street. And we also have now a new location at Platinum Plus, my barbershop, where I get my haircuts. I think I'm overdue for one now, but you don't cheat on your barber. Everybody knows you don't cheat on your barber, right? Ooh, I didn't hear nothing from the young people. Everybody knows we don't cheat on our barbers, right? Oh no! That might have left the last generation. We gotta make sure they know not to cheat on their barbers. If he goes on vacation, I'm not getting the shape up. That's it. So that program has been able to help young black men or men who come into the barbershop have a safe space to talk about what they're feeling. Talk about the stress that they're going through, and to really just unpack and unload and give them that opportunity to be in a space where they're not judged. And we all know our barbershops, and our barbers hear all of the things. Whether it's the girl that we're talking to, or the girl I'm thinking about talking to, or the family member that's getting on my nerve, or the jobs that's getting on my nerve. We know that the barbershops are central places for that stuff to happen. And so that program has been rolling for about a year and a half, and we're looking forward to continue to expand to barbershops across the 31st Assembly District. Secondly, I want to say, again, thank you to the church, because the churches are our community centers. And we have to realize and recognize that tool and that responsibility that our houses of worship have, right? It's not about just coming in and dropping an offering in on Sunday, but it's making sure that we're pouring into you all Monday through Saturday, and making sure that you guys have the resources that you need through that time. So I want to just shout out the church that we're in, the home church that we're in. Lastly, one of the bills that I was proud to co-sponsor as well as vote for in the State Assembly was a bill that created the 988 system. How many of us know about 988? All right, not enough hands in here, but I hope that all hands will be up after I explain it now, because it's important that you know about 988. Everybody knows about 911, right? Right. And I don't have to tell you the trauma that calling 911 and calling law enforcement has been to the black man who's struggling with mental health issues. We've seen it across the spectrum. And so the creation of 988 is an opportunity to be able to ensure that if someone's in crisis, someone is struggling with mental health issues or is having a mental health breakdown or a crisis or just wants counseling or just wants somebody to talk to, we set up that hotline across the state of New York. Anywhere in the state of New York where you can call 911, you can call 988. And that hotline is a resource to help you be able to get through your circumstance, to be able to get counseling, to be able to have a conversation with someone when you're in need. And I was proud to vote on that bill to make that hotline come to fruition here in the state of New York, because we know that access to those resources are very limited. And so, again, as I close out, you all are our future. You are our future law enforcement professionals. Oh, yes, very important. Our future law enforcement folks, you are our future EMTs, you are our future announcers, and so today is the day that we pour in and invest. So please, don't leave the same way you came in. Leave with a friend, leave with a resource, and also don't forget to vote. That is so important. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't remind you guys how important it is to make sure that your voice is heard at the ballot box. If you ever wonder why your issue is not at the forefront, if you ever wonder why people are not talking about this or not talking about that, the best way you can control that conversation is going out to vote. One thing that I'll tell you, I hate this term, but I'll tell you as a politician, I'll say elected leader. I don't like politicians, it's become a very dirty word. But elected official. One thing as an elected official, we pay attention to numbers. We pay attention to individuals who are coming to us, who are sharing their concerns, and we try to resolve and serve those concerns. And how you do that best is getting out to vote. And I know that some candidates have not been the candidates that we love or speak to our issues, but you have the power to force them to speak to your issues by voting and being involved in the governmental and the civic process. So very important to vote. We're seeing less and less black men voting and showing up to the polls, and we're seeing less and less of our issues being represented. And so we need true representation, and it starts with us making sure that we go out to vote. And I know that we have some 16 and 17-year-olds in here. How many of us are 16 and 17? Somebody's 16 or 17. All right, brothers back here. Or older. 16 and 17 or older. So y'all should all be registered to vote or pre-registered to vote. Folks may not know, but at age 16 and 17, you can pre-register to vote so that as soon as you turn 18, you're automatically registered. So I know that was a lot. I know that y'all just finished eating. I don't want to put y'all to sleep, so I'm going to kick it back over to our announcer, who's going to introduce the rest of the panel. Stay safe. Pleasure being with y'all today, and be well.
Brother Khalil, good job. Before we go on, we want to make sure we recognize the creator, the thought process of this great house of worship and praise and hope. That's what I always call the church. Worship, praise, and hope. Because when you leave, you always believe. And when you have that hope in you, you don't feel like you're going to fail. Pastor Eric Toodles is in the house this evening. Eric, Pastor Toodles, thank you. Thank you for this beautiful building and for having us in it this afternoon. Thank you. So we have a lot of great people. I've been reading the bios. We have a lot of great young men in here, and we want to start getting to know them. Are there microphones at the table? They're ready for them to begin? So let's get our first person. I'm not going to read all the bios. I want you guys to tell us about yourself. Those of you that do read, now that's all of us. The bios are right here, but it's great to hear it from them themselves. The first person I'm going to choose is the first person that comes under my name, if you know who I am. Brother, oh, that's here now? Okay. We're going to take this time to welcome, and a great bio, what court me he's into mentoring and social services. I've seen his name a couple of times around the city, so I know we're honored to have him. Everybody, please put your hands together for Larry D. Edwards.
I'm going to stand just so I'm more comfortable standing. But I want to thank everyone here. I want to thank Bridget and whoever the committees are that invited me. I'm no longer in the city, but I still do city work. I got a table over here of young people that are all here as a result of my invite. I just saw another gentleman come in. But so my name is Larry Edwards. I'm the founder and president of Albans Mentoring. I'm a native South Carolinian who moved to New York after finding a great queen here from New York City. A little bit about me. I am the son of a single mother who I discovered after she passed, when she had me, she didn't even have her high school diploma. And I say that because while we're men, I want to shout out women like my mother, because never in my 25 years of being under her direction did I realize that. And for her to have been a black woman in the South raising 2 kids without a high school diploma, and for me to never felt like I needed or wanted anything, speaks to how strong she was. And while I'm here to pay tribute and to encourage us as men, I want us to understand how we have to prioritize our women. I love the sound of the music station. Because if there was no her, there would be no me. And I'm not here to take anything away from my dad, because I understand his story. And the reason we're here is to make sure the young men in this room doesn't have the story that my dad had. So the work that I do and what motivated me was to give my community, people that look like me, what I didn't have, which was a positive black male figure. Because it's not about biological, it's just about, if we don't help each other, who will? Who will? So that's my message today. What inspired me to open Edwards Mentoring and Social Services, I worked at 2 professional jobs here in the city, serving first the disabled population, and then secondly, I landed a position running a fatherhood program where I got to sit with a lot of young men who, they knew they were dads, but they didn't know the power or the responsibility that came with that. And so when I got the job, I looked up to God and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Because while I knew my dad, his presence, his real presence in my life did not exist. Now, back in where I'm from, everybody identified me with my dad, which became troubling. Because I'm like, yo, who is this dude that everybody keeps saying, you're his son? And I didn't know who he was. Sadly, in 2023, we got a lot of young people who can identify with my story. What motivated me was, I did find some people, some positive black males that I could build a vision from. And what I did was, I built a vision. And what I want everybody to walk away tonight with is a vision. Because if you don't have a vision, it's what you don't have. You don't have hope. And when you lose hope, you have nothing. So my message is, let's establish a vision, let's share a vision, and let's help people achieve their vision. My getting married, having a professional career, running my own business where I could tell a boss who I said, yo, this program I'm running, it needs a counseling component, because a lot of the dudes that I was working with was knocking on my office door saying, yo, Mr. E, can I have a word with you? Sure. Their word was, I'm traumatized. This happened to me. That happened to me. This is still going on with me. This is why I do this. This is why I do that. Their measure of a dad was, their dad wasn't in the house with them. So they thought they were a great dad from the mere default of, well, at least I live in the same house with my kid. Deep, right? Well, this is what a lot of communities of color is grappling with. I had a session with a young man today, 48 years old, working in Child Protective Services. His daughter came in, and his daughter said to him, "You're inconsistent. I've heard this before. Even after this session, I have no expectation because I'm tired of being disappointed." Deep. So the challenge is, what do we do with this going forward? I left New York in 2020. I still have a caseload of majority of people that I see virtually from New York. So when the brother said he's heard my name, it's a positive thing, but the stats behind it is not always the best stats, because it's another situation where, yo, can I talk to you? This is how I'm feeling. Nothing wrong, brothers, with being emotional, because that's the other thing I found when I started doing this work. We're human. The sad thing is that a lot of black men, Spanish men, men of color feel like having emotions is a sign of weakness. I'm here to tell you today, it's a sign of strength. Only if you have somebody you can talk to, and that's what we need to learn in this process. So while we're here, let's learn to be vulnerable. That's the other B in my life, vision and vulnerability. For me to stand up here, for me to have taken a chance, I had to be vulnerable to even go to college. I had the opportunity to go to an HBCU, but a predominantly white school offered me more money. But it offered me more insight in terms of who I am and who I could be. And I say that because my mother raised me, you can do anything you want to do, even better than, understanding that my vantage point where I started was different. So when I got on this all-white campus, I was determined, I can do honor roll, I can do the yearbook, I can do this award. We have to understand who we are and the shoulders we stand. I am, in the words of Maya Angelou, as you are, the hope and the dream of slaves. When we settle for less to do craziness, we're not representing the people we came from. That's what inspired my business. I was careful not to name it counseling, because I know how we feel about the stigma of counseling. Mentoring, us pulling each other up, us sitting in a room and not judging each other, us sitting in the room knowing that if this brother here is strong, my son is strong. If this dude right here got a business, my son had an opportunity to work. We got to get back to basics. That's what Ed was mentioning about. You know, I've been in a position to have people to come under me as interns at a master's level. A lot of people didn't say that. You know, so I pour in by what I do. I don't come and look at you as broken. I come and look at you as your potential. So that being said, it was mentoring was a business I started while I was working on my master's, and I got the feeling that where I was working didn't care about the people I was serving. Because when I went to her and said, yo, these guys need counseling, she told me, do what I hired you to do. Count them as number in a program. So you know what I did? I went back to what my mother taught me. You be the impetus to heal your community. So I put my business card out, ACS got to know me, and I competed with where I worked, built a business. And even when I left New York and took my professional profile down, I still kept getting calls. Oh, my friend, my boy, this lady referred. So that's what I'm in the business of. I'm in the business of us strengthening each other, because I believe in everybody in this room and everybody in our community that has the potential, but somewhere the vision is kind of blurred. for no fault of their own. And I sit down and I talk with people, yo, let's get you back on track. Because if you give up on your vision, you have no hope to motivate. So thank you for having me here. I really appreciate, and the drive I took to be here, it was 14 hours, but it was well worth it. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Larry. Larry's a great story. We have two other great stories. We're not going to rush anybody, but we do want to make sure we have a time constraint so that everybody today is heard. That's a phenomenal story. Thank you, Larry. Once again, give Larry a great hand, everybody. So as he was speaking, by the way, everybody, you can just turn your phones on, just turn mine down. Don't let anybody find you right now. We together, all right? So they don't know you're here. You didn't want them to know in the first place. So I was sitting here reading our next speaker. I was fascinated because this is one of those jobs, one of those careers that all of us, we use this service a lot, but a lot of us don't realize we need to be doing more of it. And I was smiling because I remember my cousin when he started doing this, and he told me about just the absolute thrill the first time an airplane goes in the sky and you're behind the wheel. And I can't even imagine what that's like, and I hope you can paint a picture for us. Brian Worthington is here, y'all. He's the president of the New York Metro Black Pilots of America. And I'm gonna open this up, but tell us before you tell us about anything, what is it like the first time a plane went in the air and you were behind the wheel? Tell us, what does that feel like?
Absolutely amazing. So, thank you for having me. My name is Brian Worthington. I am the president of New York Metro Black Pilots of America, which is here locally. And I just recently became the president of Black Pilots of America Association nationally. So I just took over the national seat. I'll try to keep this real brief. How I got into aviation, I guess a lot of our stories are going to be fairly similar. Where we grew up and things like that. I didn't have a single household. I grew up in a two-family household, but my mother also didn't have a high school diploma. Her highest level of education was actually junior high school. And she's also from South Carolina. So we see how it's all similar, right? So my parents moved to New York when they were young. My mother moved up here when she was 18, my father around the same age. And they met each other here and had 5 kids. Right? So I'm the youngest of 5. I grew up in the projects. Family didn't really have much. My dad made a somewhat okay living. He worked for the New York City Transit Authority, and my mother was a messenger, and didn't really make much money. One of the things that I want to say is what we really do, or why we on this earth, right? It boils down to a piece of paper. Now, this might sound a little crazy. It boils down to a piece of paper. That first piece of paper that we receive is our birth certificate. We have no control over that, right? We all get a birth certificate when we're born. But then after that, it's kind of up to us to choose what piece of paper we get and how many of those papers that we receive, right? So we all go to school. First piece of paper we receive after our birth certificate is a high school diploma. And then some might go on and go off to college. You stay 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe more. What do you go for? Another piece of paper. You went for that college degree, right? Some of us get associates, bachelor's, we go on, master's degree. Some people might go the military route. And when you get out of the military, what do you get? That piece of paper, right? Everything that we do is for that piece of paper. And then the piece of paper that everybody really loves is money, right? So then we work for another piece of paper. All piece of paper, right? So who choose how many pieces of papers you receive and who choose what that piece of paper will be? That's up to you to decide that, right? So, and I look at life, I look at, how many pieces of paper do I want? I want a lot of that green paper, I want a lot of that, right? But the piece of paper you receive before that sometimes dictates how much of that green paper that you can receive. So that's kind of how I look at life a little bit, just thinking about that piece of paper that we receive. Now going into the pilot situation, how did I get there? Well, in school, I was a horrible student in junior high school, going into high school, horrible student. Never really thought I was gonna, do well. I was getting into a lot of trouble back in the days, hanging out with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, kind of a product of my environment. So I decided it's either gonna be jail or it's gonna be, I'm gonna probably end up dead. I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to be in nobody's jail. So I decided I'm gonna have to go to school. So I went to the College of Aeronautics, Vaughn College of Aeronautics. I enrolled after high school. I enrolled into Vaughn College of Aeronautics, which was called the College of Aeronautics back then. When I got there, my mother now, she didn't really make much money, so I can get financial aid. So yes, I'm good. I can get financial aid. But my dad made a little bit too much money, so now I can't get financial aid. So I'm stuck in between. So now I'm still out there doing the things that I'm doing, trying to make ends meet to try to pay for school. So I said, you know what? I used to see the planes take off. I grew up on the north side of Queens, in Woodside Projects, and I used to see the planes not too far away from LaGuardia. So I see the planes take off and land, and I wonder who's on that plane, where's it going, and how in the heck is it staying in the sky? This big piece of metal, how is it staying in the sky? I want to know who's on it, and I want to know how to fly it. So went to JFK, got a job at JFK Airport, and I was working in the cargo section. So I was loading the planes. Wasn't really my thing. I didn't feel like grabbing people's bags and these things and putting it on the plane. I wanted to get in the front. How do I get in the front of the plane? But I never, ever, ever saw anybody that looked like me. How many people have seen a black pilot before when you get on a plane? Have you ever seen a black pilot? Show your hands. Maybe once or twice, right? But not many. Everybody's hand in this room should have went up. How many people seen a white pilot? See that? That's a problem, right? We have to fix that. So I went on loading planes, wanted to get into the front, still getting into some trouble, doing the wrong thing. So I decided, you know what? Let me go to school, and I want to go to be a pilot. So I went to school, signed up. I told them, sign me up for a pilot program. What did they ask? How were your grades? Well, my grades weren't good enough to be into the pilot program. So I opted to go into a mechanical program and learn how to fix planes. Didn't really want to do that. Still getting into some trouble. I said, you know what? I'm going to just go to the military. So I went to a recruiter station, and I told them, just sign me up. As long as you put me near an airplane, I'm good to go. So they said, okay, no problem. You want to go near an airplane? No problem. So they signed me up for airborne school in the United States Army. And I said, is that going to put me near an airplane? They said, sure. I said, okay. Little did I know that I was jumping out of planes. Right? So I became a paratrooper in the United States Army. I was stationed in North Carolina in the 82nd Airborne Division, traveled all over the world, and that's where I ended up seeing how other people live, and I said, I did not have it bad compared to what I've seen throughout the whole world, right, traveling to these different places. So in the military now, again, my grades were horrible. So now in the military, I was told, I don't know if it's a lie or not, but I was told that I could take a test to be a military aviator. If I passed the test, good to go. If I failed that test, I could take it again. But if I fail it again, I could never ever take that test for the rest of my life. That completely scared the mess out of me. Why? Because my grades were horrible. I didn't think that I had it in me to move forward, to do something that cool. So I decided not to take the test. I never became that military aviator, so now my heart is shattered. I never became that military aviator, what I really want to do. So I started to, outside of jumping out of planes and just fighting and shooting and all this craziness, I decided to go into an aviation unit where now I can use some of the skills that I learned when I was going to school. So I went to an aviation unit and I started working on Black Hawk helicopters. From there, I decided to get out of the military. I joined the National Guard, and was stationed in Ronkonkoma, New York, and I was in an aviation unit there. So now, driving home from Ronkonkoma back to Queens, I ran into Farmingdale Republic Airport, and I saw a sign saying, learn to fly here. So I used my famous words. I walked in there, I said, sign me up. So they signed me up. I was the only black person that I've seen around that time, which was back in 2003. So wow, it's 20 years now. So I started flying back in 2003. I got my pilot certificate shortly after. I became a New York City police officer. So now I work for the New York City Police Department. However, I fly helicopters for the New York City Police Department now. So that military aviator that I wanted to be, in a way, this is better because I get to go home every day. And I still get to fly pretty much the same type of aircraft that I would have been flying in the military. So With that being said, I am the president of New York Metro Black Fathers of America here in New York, the national president. I actually own a few airplanes. I own a flight school out in Long Island, Farmingdale, New York. I'm the only black-owned business that's there at the airport. It's called Flight King NYC. I run a nonprofit organization here as well as Black Fathers outside of Black Fathers of America. I teach at Valley Stream High School Aviation. I teach at Elmont Library for Aviation. I have another class on down the block on Springfield Boulevard at VFW where I teach there. And I also teach a class in Brooklyn. So my thing is get everybody involved in aviation. One of my things that I like to say is in a car, right? Everybody here pretty much drives a car, right? You all drive a car. And if I gave you a mile, 1 mile on that road, in that car, that's all you can get, is that 1 mile. But if you give me a mile in an airplane, I can get anywhere in the world. And now that I'm a helicopter pilot as well, now you just give me a little square, and I can pretty much get anywhere in the world, right? So that's my story. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this time, and let's meet each other and do great things.
That's a great story. Can we ask you a question? Everything we didn't address, we all like to know, all the teaching you do. Do you fly anywhere? Like, we need to get somewhere real quick, and we can't get a commercial flight. Can we come see you?
So I do take short trips. It's small airplanes, so it's not like a really overly huge airplane. Mm-hmm. So I do short trips. I do dinner dates. I do city tours. I'm actually have a tour after this. I'm going out to the airport and flying, and I have a tour tonight. So I do night tours, dinner dates, and short trips. That's awesome right there.
I heard them right. Dinner dates, you meet somebody new, young man. You want to impress somebody? No, we're going to fly tonight. You went there. What else do you say after that? Once again, y'all give him a hand, Brian. So I want to make sure we're all loosened up. So you know when you watch Steve Harvey, he bring people on. I'm going to add something to this. So y'all all involved. I'm not just going to say the next name. I'm going to say, are you ready to meet your next phenomenal black man? You're going to say, yeah. Are you ready to meet your next phenomenal black man? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm reading this gentleman's bio from Brooklyn, New York. And I was reading the bio, I was like, how did he get from, I didn't even know half these colleges, and then he went from Hobart to Harvard. I happen to know Hobart just because a friend of mine played football there years ago. But Hobart to Harvard, University of Texas in Austin, Carnegie Mellon, bruh, that was just impressive to read in the schools. Everybody please show your love. This is going to be a great one right here for us. One in Brooklyn, and now a strong advocate for education, one and only Mr. James Jim Sullivan, Jr. Tell us your story, brother.
All right, good evening, brothers. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, I'm a little hard of hearing. I can't hear you.
Well.
All right, excellent. Well, listen, thank you for this opportunity. To Bridget, who invited me in, to the pastor of the church, to this distinguished panel we have down here. I get an opportunity to share with you for a little bit, and I'm going to take a brief minute to talk to you about me, but more importantly, what I want you to do is focus on what I want to talk to you about here. Because we're at a time right now where if we don't change some things that we've been doing or the way we've been thinking when it comes to our money and our finance, it doesn't really matter how much education we get. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. So you heard a little bit about my education. I grew up in East New York, Brooklyn. That's where I'm from originally. And I started there, but I was blessed to be able to move on from there. Okay, and that took me to prep school in Connecticut and off to college, as you heard. I did a program at Harvard University. I did a program at the University of Texas in Austin. I got my master's degree from Carnegie Mellon. So on paper, because the brother had to talk about paper, I said, man, I'm going to like that guy because I'm going to talk about paper too. Is it okay if I talk about paper? Yeah. Okay, I'm not talking about my paper now. I'm talking about your paper and your future paper. And so I grew up with my mom and dad. My dad worked, for transit. My dad worked for DJJ. He was a correction officer for a number of years. My mom stayed at home. She had the toughest job of all. She raised me. So that was her responsibility. And by my count, I don't know if anybody else agree, but I think she did a pretty good job. Okay? And so, so I started my career in international banking, working at American Express. Anybody ever heard of that little company called American Express? Yeah, some of you are carrying it around in your pocket right now, right? And But when I got there, like was mentioned earlier, I was the only person of color in my department. And it was hard to relate. The work that I was doing was at a high level in finance, but it didn't affect or do anything for anyone in my community. And I just felt like something was missing. I had gotten all this education. I'm here in the corporate world. I'm working. I don't see how anything I'm doing is giving back or affecting anybody who comes from where I come from, anybody who looked like I look like. So I was on the inside, but I felt somewhat like an outsider, if you guys can appreciate that. And so I realized that at some point, for me to be happy, it wasn't just about the money, it wasn't about the title. I felt like I had to learn to do something where I could feel like I could make a difference, where I could feel like I could take the education and pour into other people and give more of us a chance to come through. See, regardless of what career, young men, you decide to go on, one thing we know for sure, and every person over 30 in here will back me up on this, is that you're going to have to understand how to play the money game. Am I right about that? The problem is, who's teaching us how to win the money game? Who's teaching that? Nobody. Nobody. See, if nobody's coming back to our community, and I started my business working out of churches, educating, equipping, empowering people there. If nobody's coming back in the community to teach, then that means that we're going to play the game, but we just never will have a good chance at winning the game. And if we got to play the game for life, how many of y'all want to win that game? Right? We got to win that game, right? Because I know there are a lot of people, that I've run into in my career, and we work with people at all levels, and some people just have more month left at the end of the money than money left at the end of the month. How does that happen? It's because we don't know how to win the game. Okay, so I'm going to go into a few principles real quick here. But the first part that I want to get to, and by the way, I carry a Series 6, 63, 26, and 65 investment license. So this is not something that I just heard somebody talk about. This is something that I do. So I just wanted to make that clear here as I hit a few slides here as we go forward. So I hope this is a wake-up call right here, this first slide, young man. And this article came out in Black Enterprise magazine. Growing up, I didn't look at comics. I read Black Enterprise magazine. So my superheroes growing up were men of color, women of color that looked just like the people in this room that were making decisions and doing things in their career. But a couple years ago, this came out, and I've been using this probably for the last 8 or 9 years to get a point across. And it said African American wealth may fall to 0 by the year 2053, right? 0. See, there's a bet against every one of us in this room that we're not going to finish well. That there's a problem, and until we decide how to address that. The article goes on to say that even when you have a glamorous 6-figure salary and advanced degrees, you still may be impacted by the negative net worth virus. It's an article called The Road to Zero Wealth. So where will you be in 2053? If you're 16 years old, I think some of you may be in here, you're going to be 46 years old 30 years from now, and based on the statistics, it's going to be ugly unless we start making changes. If you're 30 years old in this room, 20 years old in this room, you're going to be 50, 30, 60, and so on and so forth. Right? If you're 50 years and old and you're thinking maybe the year, that's 30 years from now, well, anticipate living longer and that you're going to need money for a longer period of time. My dad is 89 years old, going strong. He'll be 90 years old in just a couple months, and guess what? He still needs money. He still needs to play the money game. Would y'all agree? Now, the good news is he got me, so he's in pretty good shape, okay? But we have to understand that there's work to do, and there's no better time than now to get on that work. It talks about education being the great equalizer. And as you heard my education, I believe in education, but I know how costly it can be. I've got friends, y'all, that are still paying student loans, and we went to school back in when we went to school. You understand what I'm saying? And they're still paying on their student loans. Why? Right? We get these advanced degrees, but they can be very costly. So the article goes on to talk about the solution, and one of the things that it talks about is investing. It talks about getting in the market. And remember, we play the game, we work hard, but most of us, many of us, maybe not everybody in this room, we haven't learned how to win the game. And so if we don't change, it's going to get worse. Turn to your neighbor and say, if we don't change, it's going to get worse. That's right, but we don't want that. See, we don't, it doesn't have to be that way, right? So I want to pull quickly from a book called The Millionaire Mindset. And listen, $1 million in today's world is not a lot of money. It's not what it used to be. I promise you that, okay? So let me hit a few things, and I'm going to give you a couple concepts to take away from here about what it is that we do and how we impact people. And I want you to know that if you're not in the game, you can get in the game. It doesn't take a lot of money to get in the game, but it's important that you learn to play the game. And I want you to know that if you have some money, you've been in the game, pay attention to what's happening in this country, because you better understand how your money is working for you. So here's a couple of principles. It talks about the rich and it talks about the poor. And I'm not here to decide who's where, right? I believe that most of us are maybe somewhere in between, hopefully leaning towards rich versus leaning toward poor. But I'm just going to give it to you black and white the same way the book gives it. So don't judge me on this. I'm just giving back to you some of the thoughts about this. So it says rich people learn and grow. Poor people think they already know. I can tell you thousands of times where people that weren't doing well financially thought they were good because they were doing better than somebody doing worse. There's always another level to go to, brothers. Rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on their time. See, hourly salary is okay, but there's so much more when you know your worth, when you know your value. Rich people have their money work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money. Now, I disagree a little bit. I believe that all people work hard at some point, but you've got to learn how to work smart as well. You've got to learn how to get your money working for you. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game not to lose. So you got to understand that there's a little risk associated with investing, but you can learn and get educated on how to take a calculated risk. People go to Las Vegas all the time. People play the lottery all the time. Your odds of winning are almost automatic when you're playing the lottery, and I know you want that big one to come in, right? The same thing happens when you're going to Las Vegas, and I'm not saying you shouldn't go, right? So I'm not judging any of that, but here's a principle you have to understand when it comes to investing in your money. The longer you invest, the greater the odds are that you're going to make money. From tiny acorns, giant oak trees grow. But not overnight, over time, right? So you got to plan it and give it time to compound, okay? Now, when you're going to Las Vegas, I want you to know the longer you play, the guarantee
of making sure that the young man had opportunity, and that, through the Boy Scouts and everything else that they're doing, you're continuing that process. So I started my day at 6 o'clock this morning, so I'm out of here, to be honest.
That's why I gave you the mic.
So I had to, and I lost one of my mentors today. I had to go to the funeral for that, so I'm a little emotional as well. But I would just ask all of you to please take advantage of what these gentlemen are imparting to you. Make sure that if you have any questions about anything, ask somebody. It's the information age, but there's a lot of nonsense on the web. But ask somebody. You have an opportunity here. Every one of you that's here should get their cards and look at their website. Look at what they're doing. Every one of you here should talk to every person here and make sure that you get their information. My office is on Farmers and Murdoch. It's your office. If you need to get some information, you need to do homework. You need to take a day. You need to find out something else. My office is your office. Please come and utilize it. Now that's what we're here for. So please don't go through this information age and not have to. You got to fight for yourself. Sometimes through your own family, you have to fight for yourself. So just make sure that you stay on your path. Be true to your own heart, and don't forget to ask the questions that you need so that you can be the person that you want to be. Again, thank you all for putting this seminar together. It's truly important. I hope we can repeat it again, because the more young people we can get to, the better we can make our community. Thank you all, and have a good evening.
And excuse me, Senator, for not saying your name properly. I live in Suffolk County. We need a lot more of you out there. So.
We got to work on that.
We got to work on that for sure. And I have Sean.
That might be just
All right. Are you ready for your next phenomenal black man? Say yeah. Yeah. Coming up next, and then somebody, maybe even I could use it at some time, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you. We have an attorney in the building, from what I understand. And I could say great things about to have great relationship with entertainment attorneys, for many reasons. But I want to hear about what you do. Everybody, please show your love. Sean Jefferson, Entertainment Attorney.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I grew up in this church. I was baptized in this church, and Reverend Tudor was baptized my youngest son a couple of weeks ago, so it was really full circle to be here. So thank you guys, appreciate it, and happy to be a part of the community. I'm not going to be too long. I see some of the OGs put our young folks to sleep, so I want to hear from you guys as well. And I think a big part of this is us forging a relationship and a network. But a little bit about myself. As Brother Tony Love said, I'm an entertainment attorney. I'm here in New York City, down by Wall Street. I represent financiers, folks who are investing in Hollywood, folks who are investing in Hollywood. I represent creators, writers, directors, some actors, whatever it is. The job is really cool. I'm able to travel all around the world. I have an office in Los Angeles that I go to pretty much once a month. I'm in Europe all the time, South America. So it's a nice job. I get to travel a lot. I get to work on a lot of cool movies. I get to know about what's happening in the media before, it's released to the general public. So it's a really nice job. I got here by, I went to St. John's University, undergrad. I got a scholarship to go to the law school. This brother will tell you how important scholarships are to not, pay student loans for your whole life. I went to St. John's Law School. While I was when I was in St. John's undergrad, I started working for HBO and their sports department. It's funny, Floyd Mayweather has a big impact on my career, because when I started working for HBO, he left HBO boxing and went to Showtime. So they completely downsized their sports department and told me, look, either go find another job or move to original programming. I didn't have another job lined up, so I decided to pivot. I went over to original programming. This was around the time that Game of Thrones came out and Boardwalk Empire, all these big HBO shows. So I fell in love with what I was doing there. So my junior year and my senior year of college, I worked for HBO. I applied to law school, got into St. John's, like I said. I got a scholarship. I continued to work for HBO my first year there. I eventually left there. I went to Viacom. I left Viacom. Viacom is a big entertainment company, by the way. Nickelodeon, MTV, it owns all of those brands. At one point had a big ownership stake in BET as well. I worked in Viacom for a little while, and then I left there. I went to a private entertainment law firm called Frankfurt, Koenig, Klein & Sells. That's actually where I am now, but I ended up leaving the law firm, going to some Canadian company, and then from the Canadian company, I went back to the law firm I'm at now. And maybe that's where I'll start. Is Brother Tony Love said this is a journey, and I think that's really important for folks to understand. I think we live in this instant gratification culture. Social media, I think, has a lot to do with that. But this is all a journey. And some days are great, some days are bad, but it's all a journey. Don't ever forget why you're waking up every day and what your goal is, and just keep pressing towards that goal. I wanted to first talk a bit about education. Education is so important, guys. You got to put yourself in a position to win. I think I'm a sports guy. I love sports. LeBron James always puts himself in a position to win. You guys constantly see every off season he's getting traded. He's asking for trades. They call him the GM. Because he always wants to put himself in a position to win, and that's what school does for you guys. When you're in school, whether it's middle school, high school, college, you got to take that serious. That piece of paper, it follows you everywhere. And so don't let your mean teacher or the teacher who doesn't understand you impact your future for years to come. Like, you gotta present that report card, that transcript to so many people throughout your life. Just take care of business right now. So put yourself in a position to win by taking school serious. This event, I think, is so important, like the network. The network that we have is everything. So, working for HBO, that's a job that, the lawyers there only went to Harvard and Columbia. At Viacom, the lawyers there only went to Harvard and Columbia. My colleagues now only went to Harvard and Columbia. The reason why I'm in this position now is because of the network, right? So every person that I'm meeting, I'm taking their phone number down, I'm continuing to follow their journey, always on Google, looking them up. I mean, just on the internet really quick, that as bad as it could be, it also could be great, right? So you may not have the same resources as somebody else, but use Google. It's your friend. Just go on Google searches for hours and look up what you need to find. But the network. The network is so important, man. That's a big reason why I'm here. A lot of the young folks or people who want to go to college or want to get involved in the law, I think it's important that we exchange information. And I don't think we're going to accomplish everything today, but because this is a journey, I expect that we have an ongoing relationship, and you reach out to me and hit me up for whatever you guys need, whatever troubles you're going through in life. Happy to be a mentor. And mentorship is big, and I think you should have 100 mentors in life. You should have a mentor to help you in education. You should have a mentor to help you for your career path. You should have a mentor to help you in your relationships. You should have a mentor to help you with financial literacy. So, just building on your network, make sure you also have identified mentors for each area of your life. It's so important. It doesn't have to be that one person. It should be many different people, who have reached those goals that you ultimately want to get to. Again, something about putting yourself in a position to win is work ethic. So, again, I'm in a position now where one would look at my resume, my education, and say I'm unqualified. But another reason why I'm here is because of my work ethic. So if you guys are going to take up a job, if you're going to do something, you got to be the hardest working person in the room. All of the walking in late, not working hard, doing the bare minimum to get by, that doesn't work. You're just going to piss off your employer, your teacher, blah, blah, blah. So, I think work ethic is the biggest thing out there. The people who are hiring you or who are in charge of accepting you into those universities, they're going to be able to see and tell what your work ethic is like. So, just always try to make sure you're the hardest working person in the room. Distractions. And I'm just hitting on a couple of random topics because the brothers in here, covered everything, and I don't want to repeat everything they're saying. But distractions, those are huge right now, man. So social media, back to that. To me, that's like the biggest distraction in the world. So much so that I myself like to delete social media off my phone at least until 8 p.m. in the day, until I've gotten everything I need to get done, because it's just a big distraction. Some of your friends and what they're doing is all a distraction. Some of the most lit people who I was around in high school and even college, they all look up to me now because they weren't doing what they needed to be doing back around that time. And they fell to the wayside. And then time goes by and you get older and you being lit in the club or hanging out on the block, whatever it is, it's just not cool anymore after you're a certain age. So just know there's like a time and a place for everything. So and I love to have fun. I love to party, I love to hang out. But it's much better to do that when you're in a successful position versus when you're living paycheck to paycheck. So just be wary of the distractions. And know that there is a time and a place to have fun, to do those things you want to do, but it may not be right now. There's a season for everything. Even now in my life, there's some goals that I want to hit, and that may mean, hey, you know what? I'm not spending any money on anything besides like food, transportation, and shelter this month. Otherwise, it's a distraction. It's taking me away from my goal. So just, have the blinders on in life, identify your goal, and don't let people distract you from what your goal is. And then the last thing I just want to briefly touch on is health. You know, your mind, body, and soul. We're just always working on that. You know, if you are going to be working hard, you got to be healthy. I think it's important to work out, to exercise. So many people I see, they're running off of sugary drinks and weed. It's like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, honestly. And so, and look, do what you want to do in your spare time, but you gotta exercise your mind. You gotta exercise your body, and you gotta exercise your soul, which is why I think this church is so beautiful and important. Thank you, Bridget, again for putting on this event. But yeah, put yourself in a position to succeed. You know, take education seriously. Take this network seriously. I think especially these young brothers here, I can't wait to hear what you guys got to say. But you know, to me, this is so important that you got these young brothers coming out to you know, show you about their path and what they've been through. Take their number down and hit them up. I know you guys would all welcome, you know, talking to the young folks, not just today, but establishing an ongoing relationship. So, yeah, I'm not going to be too long-winded because I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to ask us questions and get to know each other a little more. So thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, once again, Sean Jefferson, thank you very much. Sean, I got to make it real quick. I had an attorney walk up to me at the National Coliseum, said, if I don't make you any money, I don't make any money. I said, what do you want me to do? Don't worry about it. Can I represent you? I said, represent me at what? He said, don't worry about it. If you don't make any money, I don't make any money. I said, well, that sounds like a good deal. I'll take it. Within 2 years, he got me a voiceover with Geico and Converse. I'm sorry. 2 voiceovers. We put oodles of money together. And just because he had that heart, he walk up to me and say, can I work for you? Good job, I know you got that same spirit. Everybody, once again. All right, so one of our young people, get ready. Yeah, one of our young people. Great, this is a great read. I'm sure you read it already. I'm just looking forward to bringing it to the mic. Are you ready for your next phenomenal black male? Oh, okay, that's something good to know. So we got, in the building, we got 3 young men that started school at kindergarten together. 3 here now. They're all grown up. Let's get the first one up here. He'll tell you all about himself. You can read it yourself. What caught me right away? He's now working on a master's degree at Johns Hopkins. Things that, you know, so like the old saying goes, when you do the possible, God will do the impossible. People don't know we do stuff like this. Ladies and gentlemen, show your love. Dalen, J, K, Cook in the building. Come on, Dalen, let us know about you.
How y'all doing tonight? As stated, my name is Dalen. I did go to school with these 2 young brothers right here. We were very close friends and still are close friends today. We were just catching up, literally. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for having me. Also want to give my flowers to all of y'all as well. Everything y'all have said has literally resonated with me in every way possible, and like I want to connect with each of y'all after this as well. I connected with Mr. Edwards before. I'm definitely going to need you for that helicopter date one time. So thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. Finance is a big thing, a part of my life as well, so I appreciate you and just the advice you gave about balance. I completely agree. Balance is one of the things that I'm still trying to get together with today. I do love to hang out. I love to party, but at the same time, I look at it like this. If I could put in all this hard work in right now, I just know that time coming when I'm older, when I have my family, when I'm with my peoples, I know that I can enjoy life to its fullest. So, thing about me, I came from a single parent household as well. Single mom, I owe everything to her because I love her to death. She has definitely guided me to where I am today. I went to Allen Christian School with these 2 as well, and Queens closed down, but it's now Eagle Academy, I think. But that's where I went. I then went to middle school in Divine Wisdom Catholic Academy, which is a school in Queens. I went to private school all my life pretty much, and then after that I transitioned to a private school in St. Mary's, and then I went to Loyola University in Maryland for my undergrad, and now I'm at Johns Hopkins for a master's degree in nursing. So, thank you. everything going from those schools, I'm a product of it takes a village. So every person like I've met has helped form into the person I am today. Connections is a huge thing. I always say connect with somebody, use your opportunities. Every school I went to, they used me as a black man as a diversity plug. I was a diversity person. Oh, let's put him here. Oh, let's put him here. Let's put him here. And I enjoyed it because, I got to meet people. I got the connections, but at the same time, I'm going to use them as well. So I use them for my connections. I use them to get into the place that I am. So it just has helped me develop into the better person that I am as well. I'm going to say it again, connections is my thing. It's my foundation. I love networking. I love talking. It's going to get me into the room that I need to get into. And to everybody here, the young people as well, I understand sometimes it is nerve-wracking to talk to somebody, but just ask the question. I believe there really is no stupid questions and no dumb questions. Ask the question. They may have more knowledge that you anticipate that they may not have had. Also as well, just growing up, I've had very hard times as well, coming, like I said, from a single home. There wasn't a lot of male figures in my life. I was surrounded by mostly women, but I made sure to never myself to get into those positions talking with the male figures. The male figures have definitely helped me grow as a man in this era. It's been hard, it's been challenging. I'm still trying to work on myself to this day. I struggle with not anxiety, so to say, but I just struggle with trying to figure stuff out. I'm a very huge overthinker, so it's troubling for me sometimes, but I try to just take my time, easy through it, breathe through the different things that I do. And to the young people, I just we need to work together. I want us to work together. I want us to get together because we can accomplish a lot. I look in these rooms, the room that I'm in, for the connections that I made, from whether it's I networked with the president of my school at Loyola. He was a recommendation room to actually get into the school that I am now, which is Hopkins. I looked into the room and they look at me yeah, it's just one of him, this and the third. But I don't want them. I want them to no, there's more of me. At my school, I made a community called Black and Gray. So that was a community basically where I included all individuals of color into a living community that we could all live together, just so they could feel supported. My undergrad was a PWI, and I tried to combine with diversity and bring those people together so we could all feel strong and held accountable for it. So that's mainly about me. Please, if you have any questions, please come up to me. Thank you very much for having me here again. I appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to learning from everybody as well. Thank you.
Dale, no problem. Wonderful. I do next. Dale, I want to say one thing you did that nobody else did so far in the presentation. One of the reasons we got together is great to hear all our success stories, but sometimes it's hard to talk about something that was difficult for us. You said, I struggled with something. You told us one of your weaknesses, to you anyway. And I'll tell you real quick, I was always good at radio behind the mic when nobody saw me. I had fear of talking in public. Can y'all believe that? Can y'all believe that? I had a fear of talking in public, and now I talk in arenas. But I couldn't even talk in front of most of my friends on my block in terms of announcing. But we overcome even the things that scare us. Proud of you, brother. Continue.
Thank you.
All right, let's head over to the HU, Howard University. You gotta say it right. You know, there's the UH and there's the HU. And if you say Hampton, HU, Howard, then that's a whole problem. Now I don't want to get in that problem. There's only one HU, and that's Howard University. Am I right, fellas? That's what I'm talking about. Let's head over to Howard, home of my fraternity, Omega Psi Alpha Chapter, and home of our gentleman, the one and only, Mr. Jaden N. Smith is going to step up and represent the HU and tell us all about it. Come on up, show your love. Our next phenomenal black male.
I just want to thank all of you for being here. I appreciate everybody here. Quick shout out to my boy Dalen. I know him since kindergarten. I seen the struggles. I seen the strengths and everything since we were young. And I'm so proud of him. I told him when I seen him, I gave him a hug and everything. I'm like, man, I'm proud of you, man. Because we known each other since 06, somewhere around there. But yeah, so quick introduction. My name is Jaden Nairobi Smith. I grew up across the street for my whole life, my whole 22 years of my life. Grew up in this church. I participated in Boy Scouts. I'm actually an Eagle Scout. I got my Eagle Scout award in 2017. So yeah, this community means a lot to me. When I go to Howard, or even when I was in undergraduate at SUNY Cortland, when I would tell my story, it always was a representation of where I grew up. You know, I wanted to show the people that didn't even know where St. Albans was on the map, or they hear Jamaican Queens, they know that, but you know, I wanted them to introduce them and let them know, you know, we got greatness over here, you know. So, quick little introduction. I started out Allen Christian School. At first I was thinking like, should I even include that, but Dylan included it. But it was very pivotal in my life because I was surrounded by all black teachers, all black classmates. That was the only place besides Howard now that I was surrounded in those spaces with people that looked like me and really cared about me. And it was, you know, it was like the hardest work I had. I was in 5th grade doing projects that like 5-page papers and then do a movie and different things like that. So it really set the tone for how I was going to be as a black man. So after Allen Christian School closed down, I went to Immaculate Conception School in Jamaica Estates. Another pivotal years for me because I was introduced to the world, like I would like to think of, because there was so many different cultures: Filipinos, Indians, Guyanese Indians, Trinidadians, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen y'all before. I'm half Guyanese. I never met like Guyanese Indians like that. So I was like, oh, you Guyanese too? Okay. So we connected on that basis, and I'm seeing culturally how much school was important to them. They was like, they'll be crying, they get a 92, 96. I'm like, what you crying for, man? You know, you still did great, you know? So after that, I went to Holy Cross High School. High school, I wasn't really putting into anything like where I wanted to go. I was just like, you know, I'll go to high school. School, I was always top of the class. It was never a kind of issue for me because I was so competitive. I played sports. Growing up, my whole life played baseball, basketball. I have coaches here. So I was very competitive, and that kind of drove me. I started off in Holy Cross, not having any honors classes, AP classes. After my first year, my freshman year, they're like, yeah, you can't be in the regular classes anymore. You know? We got to move you up. We got to put you in the honors classes. And I'm like, all right. So I went there, and I'm learning with Asian kids and white kids and Italians and different things. So they showed me their culture and how they thought of education. And then when it came down to my junior year, and I took the SAT, I ended up scoring like one of the highest grades in the whole school. And I'm like, oh, okay, like not really thinking about college because I was still trying to decide if I wanted to continue to play baseball on a higher level in college. And then come decision time, I'm trying to like weigh what I want to do and, you know, what I want to potentially study. This is very important too for the young people in here. Like, you don't always have to figure it out when you think when it's time. You don't have to go and be in high school and be like, I don't know what I want to be. Like, it's not a real issue. You know what I mean? You'll find your way, trial and error. The more you expose yourself, that's where you'll find what you want to do and who you want to be. So I gave you an example. Like, I was thinking about becoming a physical therapist. I wanted to work with athletes, so I reached out to one of my good friends and my teammate's dad, Mr. Michael Pickney, and I did some intern hours. So the connections came in, very clutch in that situation because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to be exposed to that. So he allowed me to intern with him, shadow him on a day-to-day basis. And I realized, like, potentially this is something I could do. So I ended up going to SUNY Cortland, studying physical therapy, exercise science. And my first year, 2019, fall 2019, I was surrounded at this PWI, and I was like, where's the people that look like me? You gotta think too back, I didn't really put in that much effort applying to schools, so learn from my mistakes basically. But I was like, yeah, where's the people at? And I kind of felt real down. I had my friends and everything, but it just didn't feel home. It wasn't Queens. Queens, you see all different shades of black, And one day I see a flyer. It said Yusuf Salam presents at SUNY Cortland. Yusuf Salam, if you don't know, he's from the Central Park 5. So I'm like, let me go over there. Let me see what they're talking about. So I go, and this is the second time I actually heard Yusuf Salam, but for some reason, it just struck with me a little bit more. I was like, his story and, what he went through. And then right there, I was like, I called right after his talk. I emailed my advisor. I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna switch my major. I'm gonna be a psychology major. She's like, oh, okay, just fill out this sheet. I was like, all right. And through that route of psychology, I was able to learn about mental health and understand that in our community and with black men specifically, like, it was a big issue. And we needed those safe spaces to, be vulnerable, like Mr. Larry says. And that was very important to me. So I ended up graduating with my psychology degree in 2023 May. Top of my class, Psychology Honors Society. President's list, all that. But I left angry, I was in the PWI, felt like they wasn't hearing me enough, I'm your face of DEI, like dealing in some of the situation, but y'all not hearing me enough. So I started applying to MSW programs. Fordham University actually offered me basically to go to school for free. And I turned it down because Howard University accepted me the same day. And I'm like, Howard, Fordham, I'm gonna go with Howard, yeah. So I arrived in Howard August 2023. It was tough, just adjusting to DC and everything, but I was blessed with a great opportunity to work at Howard University's middle school. So it's, extension of Howard. And I'm running a lot of the boys mentoring groups and different things like that with the inner city kids. It's a lot, but I'm just glad they have somebody that can help them and, just be there for them. I told them, first day I walked in, I was like, listen, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a social worker yet, but I'm here to support you, and that kind of, like, ease them down a little bit, because they're like, who's this guy coming in here? But, I came I'm here to support. So we talk about different things. We have a socio-emotional group. They allow me, and I'm so grateful for this, they allow me to actually help these kids. I go in, I have a plan of action for what I want to do. My supervisor signs off on it. She's like, whatever you need to do, we're gonna do. So I'm actually allowed to physically touch and, be a part of their lives on the daily, not behind the screen or just looking at statistics. So, thank you for everything. I'm glad for this space, and if anybody needs anything, I'll be here to help.
Thank you. We have only a little bit of time restraint. Your story is fascinating. I'm sure anybody that wants to get more from him, walk up to him. Sounds like he has a fascinating story. And we're going to stay right there at Howard University. This gentleman We hear about the position all the time, but very few of us have the heart to try. Electrical engineer. Yeah. Howard University. Please welcome Justin G. Smith, our next phenomenal black man.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Justin Smith. I'm the brother of Jaden, proud brother, of course, and proud brother of everybody here at this table. I probably sat here for 2 hours, listened to some great speakers. This is all just like coming in my mind. This is just such a beautiful space to be in right now, and I'm just very appreciative to be here. So a little bit about me. I grew up across the street, of course, and this community really built me, and the people around me, my coach, Coach West, I got uncles here, brothers, my father, just so many great men that have like impacted my life. It's amazing just to be here. But I went to Allen, great community, and it's like being at an HBCU was very similar. So I went to Holy Cross, and I was already put in an unforeseen circumstance. My junior year, COVID hit. I'm home, and fast forward, I'm already a junior in college. So the path is not always, linear and stuff. I was put in that circumstance, COVID, and then I felt like they just told me, oh, what you want to do with your life, and I'm still a part of that I'm still in that growing up process. I'm 20 years old. I just finished my 5th semester in college, so I don't have as much to say as them, but I've felt some things. I've realized you got to make changes, and it's important to be self-aware and be curious because, like Dalen said, nothing's ever a stupid question, and I had to learn that pretty recently because, growing up and stuff, it's not like you can always depend on parents. You got to make a life for yourself. So I'm still a part of that growing up process. So it's very important to reach out to peers, ask questions, because you never know. You could learn, how to fix a car from a janitor. You never know who's out there to teach you what. You know what I mean? So about higher education, I think higher education is beautiful because you don't know, not necessarily just for the education, there's so much stuff around. You could reach out to clubs, groups. I went to Detroit randomly this spring semester just because the opportunity presented itself. I was able to pack food boxes for a desert area in Detroit. It was beautiful. I was able to be in a room with 4 or 5-year-olds, helping them out on a daily basis because, they need to see, young black men like me, Dalen, you, everybody in this room, because we're all, trying to help out in any way we can. And places like higher education just provides opportunities like that. So just ask. You never know. You could talk to a random professor one day, see what they do on the side. They could be having a nonprofit, help out other kids in the area. You just never know who's out there and what opportunities is available. So I appreciate being at Howard because if it wasn't for my parents' hard work and stuff, everybody in the community that built around me, this stuff is not hard, this stuff is not easy, I was with my brother's friends yesterday because Portland just won a championship, and they were saying they were very impressed with Jaden. And I tell them every day I'm extremely proud of you. I see what he's doing with these kids in these schools, and it's just beautiful because you're seeing it in real time how something could switch so instantly just by a simple conversation. You never know what people are going through. I appreciate everybody I talk to. I appreciate every conversation I have because, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. We're all here right now for a reason. And, I wasn't really thinking much of this. I'm happy my mom, came up with this idea because she one day she just said, yeah, Black Men and Boys Symposium. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, she asked me to make a flyer. I was like, for sure. And it's just amazing to see this happen. And I'm just very grateful to be here. I still have so much to learn. I'm only 20, but like you said, it's never too young, and it's really never too old. And when he says that, like, that's a fact. That's a fact. It's really never too young and really never too old. We all are still building, you know? So I appreciate this. I appreciate all y'all for listening, and thank y'all.
Awesome job, man. Awesome job, man.
I just wanted to add real quick, me and Justin are very grateful to be the head of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Little League International. We do great work for them to get the resources back into our community and build and spread baseball in urban communities.
Yes, sir. Great to hear those brothers speaking. Howard University in the house. Are you ready for your next phenomenal black man? Please say yes. Yeah. So, I was looking at the bio, and you haven't aged a bit, brother. You look good. I was like, it looked like an old picture that I saw you. That's him. Everybody, this is great to have him in the building. I can't believe the gentleman who look has a doctorate degree. You are phenomenal, and we are glad to have you. Put your hands together, everybody, for Michael Pickney.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Bridget Gregson, for putting this together. Listen, everyone is phenomenal. But when Bridget called me to ask me whether, would you participate, I said, of course. The reason why is because I have children that are the ages of Justin and Jaden. So I have a 21-year-old who's graduating from Wagner College, played football, he's on football scholarship. I have a 19-year-old who's at second year at UCLA, he's on a track scholarship. So it's so important to share your experience and knowledge with those that are coming up and looking for a path, and to let the young ones know that you guys are the future. So, I mean, we have to look in this community in order to affect change, right? So change happens here with everyone that's in this facility, in this building, right? So we don't have to don't want, don't wish, don't desire, or look for change from any place else. It starts here from, the children. All you young folks, you are our future. You are what's gonna get us through the next 50 years, right? So you are, you guys are, I think the gentleman said, we're hedging, like our future relies on you guys to sort of break any curses or that, to help reverse that trend, that 2053 trend of this community going broke. So it starts with you guys, right? So my story, like everyone here, I was born in the Bronx, Pugsley Avenue, when my mom got a city job. We had enough money to sort of move out to the suburbs, Queens, right? So I've been in this area for the past 37 years. So, the gentleman, the gentleman on the panel, my parents, they came up from South Carolina, both of them. Didn't have much money. I mean, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. So parents just worked, right? Was fortunate enough, my mom got a city job, was able to come to Queens, started out at Allen Christian School, graduated, went to St. Francis Prep, played football, was able to earn a scholarship to play at the University of Delaware. And, like many kids in college, didn't have a clue as to what it is I wanted to do. So, being that I played football, sustained many injuries, I was exposed to physical therapy. So, over the summers while I was preparing for playing, playing football, interned a few times at the clinic, had an opportunity to apply, got into the DPT program. So, my class, so that was like the first black male to graduate with a doctorate from University of Delaware back in 2005. And, my passion, so you get this degree and you start to say to yourself, well, what are you gonna do with it? And you wanna bring change, you wanna sort of help those that look like you. So, after I graduated from Delaware, moved back to New York, and I've been in the area. I work in schools, I work at homes, I work in Valley Stream. I'm in the area servicing our community, just trying to help rehab folks that look like me. So that's really important in terms of, goals and my goals and my desires. So the biggest thing I want to say is, in terms of our young folks, we really, the world, listen, you have the opportunity to do whatever it is you want. And when, you prepare yourself, preparation meets opportunity, you're more likely to be successful. So, I'm a resource to any and everyone here, okay? Physical therapist, great field, great opportunities that exist. I'm available to anyone who wants to shadow or intern. I had Jamie come in, to the clinic. So I'm here for you guys. Anything you guys need, any questions you may have, let me know. I'm here to discuss with you. And listen, we have to, we are our brother's keepers. So if not us, then who? So we gotta look out for each other. And I'm definitely here to share any my experience and opportunities that anyone may have, or questions, answer any questions anyone may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey, Michael, right before you walked up, right before I announced you, I got a text just when you came up. That my officer read it with me real quick. And it says, "Good day, Tony. Ashley graduated today with her PhD." It didn't mean graduated, but it meant she got today she was notified that she received her PhD. And that's my daughter at Penn State University. Before you came out, that's why I used the word and said you got your doctorate, because I just got that notice from my daughter. Let's continue. I don't have a bio on this gentleman, but he don't need one. He's got a name that speaks for it all by himself. You can't do much better than this name right here coming to the stage. First of all, you guys ready for your next phenomenal black man? Yes, sir. So yeah. Don't need a bio when your name is Tyrone Smart. Did I say that right? That's name is Smart. Come on up and share your love with us.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Tyrone Smart. I'm in a parallel profession to this gentleman over here. He's a physical therapist. I'm an occupational therapist. So we work hand in hand. But I'm also in the ministry. And I want to say this. Everything that you guys are doing here today, I want to say praise God. This work is so critical. 2 weeks ago, I was asked to do a service. I'm sure you guys heard it on the news. A man killed 3 people, went to the police station and said, "I did a bad thing." The bad thing he did was to murder 3 people. 2 were women. One of the women, I did that funeral. And at the funeral, I kept asking myself, what more can we do to reach our brothers? Because you see, it is a known fact that men hardly speak. And they hardly speak to one another. And a lot of times when we do speak, what comes out is not too good. Because we have bottled up stuff for years. There's some of us who have not yet overcome some of those things that we've been through, who are carrying the burdens of what our fathers did, what our grandfathers did, what some of the ancestors did for years. There's some of us who are still bearing the burden of slavery. there's some of us who are suffering from all kinds of trauma. When I heard Representative Khalil speak earlier, these are the kind of kids that I work with in the special needs population in New York City. These are the kids that feel as if the system is not doing them right. The public school system that is so much concerned about gender equality, but not equality for education. We live in a system now that each and every one of us have to take responsible for our brothers. We are our brothers' keepers. In order for me to say where I am, I have to express where I came from. The young man mentioned that he was part Guyanese. Well, I migrated to America in 1993. And when I came to America, I was shocked and amazed that so many people were not taking the opportunities that were here. Because the first thing my friend told me is that there's a college called LaGuardia College. She said, you get your subjects, take it to 100 West 31st, and you will be able to correlate those subjects, and you will get to write an entrance exam. And so I did. I went, took that exam, and they gave me money to go to school. And I said, what the heck? People pay me to go to school? Man, how many more credits can I get? I took full-time credits, I did extra credits, and I got a check back when I was done, young people. When you go to school and you're poor, you get a check. I was working a job, I had a family, and I finished up in LaGuardia with an associate degree in occupational therapy. I learned about it word of mouth. Because you see, these therapeutic fields, they don't tell you a lot about it. But your average salary is about $90,000 a year. You heard that? Average salary, $90,000 a year. Now, you can do whatever you want with this profession. You could work with special needs children. You could work with elderly patients. You could travel the world like I've done. I've been to a lot of countries and I've been able to give back. Because not only of the money that I make, but the network. Dr. Clover, who's, I believe, a member of this congregation, over the summer, she told me that as I was collecting items to do mission work, she said, we have 70 pairs of glasses at York College, my old alma mater. And I went to York because York is in this community. And the reason I went to York is because I believe you don't have to go to any extraordinary university anywhere. You make your university great. Because greatness comes from right here. I know a lot of people have run from this community. I've been here now about 30 years. I'm not going anywhere. You know why I'm not going anywhere? Because it's either we grow together or we die together. You understand what I just said? It's either we grow together or we die together. I'm not running anywhere because this is my home. It's my adopted home. And if each one reach one and each one touch one, we will all be great because there's something called black excellence. Could you give a round of applause for that? Because that is what you've been hearing all afternoon, black excellence. Don't let anybody tell you you got to go somewhere else to be great. Greatness is already in you. You inherited greatness from your ancestors. So you don't need somebody to validate your greatness. At LaGuardia College, I was nurtured. At your college, I felt like I was being bombarded. The director of the program at the time tried her best to get rid of me, but she couldn't. Because I went through that program on my knees praying. The now director of your college came to me one day and said, Tyrone, they're trying to get rid of you. He said, we had an argument in that department that if they got rid of you, they got to close the program down. We started in 2001 with 26 students and graduated on Friday the 13th, 2007 with 13 students. I was the only black man. And in that time, in 2007, we were the first master's program at your college. Now, since then, the program moved from 90% black to 90% white. How did that happen? In a black community, where there's so many black students who need these degrees, 90% became white. So I met a few years ago with the college president, and they said, what's wrong with this picture? How is it that you have a community that has so many black young men running around, don't know where they're going, And your program moved from 90% black to 90% white. She said, Tyrone, we got a problem. She said, we got to monitor this program now so that these young black people actually get in. Because the people who are showing up, they're traveling from everywhere. To get into the program is not that expensive. But once you're in, they can't get rid of you that easily. So you know what they started to do? Affirmative action. Who knows that affirmative action is under attack? Why is affirmative action important? It's not because you're dumb. It's because the other people have other opportunities that you don't have. So we got to affirm you by bringing you in the program in the first instance once you get that degree up. So if you're interested in making $100,000 or more, and I'm not just talking about the money, because if you want to help people, that's where it's at. You start by helping people, the money will come. And if you're thinking about higher education, because I got my doctorate in the Florida University of St. Augustine in 2018, education is lifelong. You're never too old. So don't let anybody tell you you're too old because, you turned 40 or 50. When I went to the graduation, a white woman came up to me. She says, who graduated for you? I said, I am graduating. She looked at me and said, my kids coming just now. All of them are grown. They're coming to celebrate my graduation. That was 2018. And we all affirm each other. You know why? Because in this community, as I leave today, all these young ones right here must realize that they're gifted. When I was at LaGuardia College one day, a young man came up to me and he said, sir, can I sit at your table? By that time, my wife went back and became a therapist herself. He said, can I sit down? And I said, sit down, young man. He said, sir, I don't think I can make it. I said, why do you say that? He said, because I was in a special needs program in New York City. I said, that don't mean anything. The only thing special needs mean is that you're special. And because you're special, you're going to make it. I said, the only way you're not going to make it is if you don't show up for classes and you don't read your books and you don't do the work. I said, once you show up for class and you read that material and you do that work, you're going to be successful. He said, sir, I'm so glad I spoke to you because I was going to drop all my classes tomorrow. The seniors in our midst, we have to make ourselves available for these young people. They need people to talk to. Let's take our time off of that television. Like our brother said, we got to study more financing because every time we make the money, they rob us. So I'm hoping to talk to him a little more before I leave. Like our brother says over here, we need counseling. He don't call it counseling, he call it mentoring. We need mentoring so that when our wives and our spouses get us mad, we don't think the answer is to stab them to death. That's not the answer. A man who hits a woman is a coward. If you got to start thinking about hitting a woman, leave. There's no place for violence in any relationship. If you cannot have a face-to-face relationship where you can communicate, it's over. So, I'm available. Dr. Smart is available. My congregation is South Ozone Park, 131st Street, Christian Ephraim Brother in Christ. We are available. Anyone who wants to connect with us, through Dr. Clover, she's a professor at York College. She's available. Our women are very important. A lot of them are ahead of us educationally. You know why? Because the enemy of the enemy give more attention to the women. They feel it's easier to promote the women and lock all the rest of us up. But are you volunteering to be locked up? I can't hear you. No, sir. We are volunteering for black excellence. Let us continue to be each brother's keeper, and let us use the resources in this room that when we leave here today, none of us would ever be the same again. Thank you.
Dr. Smart. All right, we got our one last presentation. This right here is something to look forward to. So he's a member of the ISOP Instrumental Sound of Praise, Gospel, Jazz, Reggae, Funk, Big Band, Music Mentorship Band. He's a mentor to two of our gentlemen this afternoon, Jaden and Justin. And he's now the new director of music and engagement at the at Music Breeze, new music, arts, education, nonprofit. Please show your love. Everton Bailey is in the house this afternoon. Show your love, Everton Bailey. That big, wait, that big introduction, that's all I get, wait. I can just say go first, man.
You said 8 minutes. That's all. I tried to follow that rhythm.
I can do that intro over. Everybody be able to, right?
First of all, does anybody know what this is?
Trumpet.
Some people do say it's a guitar. Let me give you something, play a little something, you can tell me what history you hear of this song. Yes. Just because that oral tradition of hearing it in church, wherever. But what styles of music do you hear in that?
New Orleans.
Jazz, obviously. Gospel. Blues.
Little big band.
Little big band. So all our culture of music fits into that context. I've had the honor of, as you heard, mentoring these young men, incredible trumpet players. Give them a hand. I got them as little boys, as I say in my culture, little youths. As little youths from a fellow trumpet player, from networking. Networking is so key. I meet the trumpet player Ajax, he networks me to their mother, says I'm finishing up with them, and took over trumpet lessons. Now the mother thought enough to say, she didn't even know how I played anything. Said, can you mentor my boys? And we've had a good time, right, brothers? And it wasn't even just a lesson, it would be a life lesson. Didn't we talk so much about music, we would just play music. Talk about life, mentorship. This brother here, first time I heard him in the backyard, I said, okay, I know he does voiceovers. Anybody know Arby's? The commercial for Arby's? So who's the voice for that? Ving Rhames. John, who else? We've got Keith David, UPS Brown. There's some brothers doing some good voiceovers. Based on that trumpet, I went to law school. I was talking to the brother that was here, St. John's Law. I went to St. John's Law. Went there twice. Not because I loved it, because I had a goal and wanted to do that, be an entertainment attorney. So I want to show you how the journey can change, can flip on you. So sometimes changing your journey, I want young men, just folks to understand. I mean, folks my age trying to change their journey. I want to do this, or I always wanted to do that. They don't do it. It's the fear of taking it. Well, I said, you know what? I'm sitting in law school in contracts, and I said, I really want to play the trumpet. So I'm going to play the trumpet. Made that decision. That's a big decision, because you're going against family values. My father, my mother. You're going to law school. Started playing the trumpet. I played trumpet from high school. Clarinet in 4th grade. Up to 5th grade. French horn in 6th grade, 7th grade. I didn't know nothing about the French horn, but they gave me that because there were no more trumpets. So I had to learn how to play the French horn, which was good. I got an appreciation for it. After that, when I played the trumpet. Coming back to the trumpet, I got a call from Alicia Keys' horn section. They asked me to come down for a commercial. Never did a commercial before on anything. I go down to the commercial, we're talking 300, 400, 500 trumpet players, screaming, wailing, doing all kinds of stuff. I said, wow, I don't do any of that. But I said, you know what, I'm here now, I'm going in the audition. I go in the audition, I take my horn out, put my little mute in there, give him a little smooth Miles Davis flavor. He said, what's that? I said, it's called a mute. And he said, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Show up at the commercial, show up at the audition, and guys, my brother would know, he had 3 callbacks. To the last one, they said, Mr. Bailey, show up at the studios. We do this thing. That commercial, and doing the voiceover for it, got me to the Screen Actors Guild, first time. First card. I don't know if you guys know the importance of those. The importance of getting a Screen Actors Guild card, it puts you in the union, so you can get residuals. All I can say, the residuals for that commercial is all that. For one commercial. So if it ever runs again, you're gonna get residuals again, right, my brother?
Every time.
So I'm showing you that. If you can pull, in the meantime, pull up Latin rock band. Latin rock band. The tune is Darkest Light. Darkest Light. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So look, I came from a place called United Kingdom, England. Born in a city called Birmingham. That's where I first heard Louis Armstrong. I said, I want to do that. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what the trumpet was, but I knew because of the sound of what I saw him doing. I said, man, I really want to do that. And just by listening to that, your ear can attune to something. You say, man, that's what I want to do. So growing up in Queens, I'm a Queens guy also coming from that route. And I grew up with Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper, Russell Simmons, LL Cool J. First concert I went to LL Cool J, he was 14. Little club party that Russell had put on. And this little skinny guy comes up with his radio, puts it on the floor, does what he does. What he's still doing now, right? So I'm showing you, just saying that to show you how networking is so important. Sean P. Diddy Combs, Howard, right? I don't know if he finished, but he went to Howard. So he would come up on the weekends, throw parties with Heavy D, folks like that. Joe DeC, folks like that. At the same time, I was interning at Motown, Capitol EMI Records, and the folks would come up. I still have the cassette demo for Joe DeC, folks like that, and New Edition. I interned at New Edition's management company. So I'm just showing you how, depending on what field you're in, my niece played against Brittany Griner, basketball, got injured, got a full scholarship to Colorado, became a physical therapist. There's still work to do. She's doing physical occupational too, both of them. My other nephew goes to St. John's, plays soccer, gets hurt. They all grew up right here in St. Albans. Tim Weah, who plays with the U.S. Olympic team, thank you, who knows about that. He grew up right here, playing in the little football league that my brother-in-law put together. You know, you got that clip? Yeah, so to show you that, don't be discouraged by your journey. If one way doesn't work, if the first way doesn't work, then you kind of give up and say, oh, why's that working? But if you really want it, go to the next audition. Make that next phone call. Still carry business cards. I know the kids, you scanning QR and stuff like that, but believe it or not, that physical action of that, shaking that hand, looking somebody in the eye, and saying, I'm so-and-so, and I do so-and-so, it carries. It carries. Just what that brother just met now. I went to St. John's, though. Like I said, I went twice. The other kid from St. Albans that sat next to me was David Banks. We started talking, found out we knew the same people, grew up with some of the same cast. Because I grew up through Encore. If anybody knows about Encore in basketball. Grew up at Encore. David mentions he grew up at Encore. You know who David Banks is now?
Yeah, Department of Education.
We were hanging out yesterday at the Louis Armstrong Museum to start a new program of music mentorship. So things come full circle. Keep networking. Always network. You want to find out what something is or somebody does? That's what me and Bridget do and her husband. We talk, we network. Did you meet so-and-so? Did you talk to so-and-so? Oh yeah, I know so-and-so. He works at this school. Da, da, da. That's how I found out about St. John's Law through the Black Attorney Law Students Association. I got contracted to play for, suppose I'm talking, Barbara Williams Jr. She's part of that whole Noble. I played at Noble last year. I don't know nothing about Noble. Black law execs. Black law enforcement. That's a whole nother network. They just call me back now again. Did it last year, they want me to play at the Martin Luther King the man at St. Joseph's College. So I'm showing you how you want to get into something, go to these kind of things and talk to folks. Everybody knows somebody. Remember when Spike started Joe's Bed-Stuy Barbershop? Guy said to me, guy got me to send me a letter about a new brother in the neighborhood starting to move, he needs some funds. And going back to my brother, I should have had some funds to invest in that. Invest in that film. I couldn't help a brother out at that time, doing that. And you know the story now. Then I did an internship. I had a friend moving, leaving her job. We were working together at Capitol Records. She said, Everton, I'm going to work for Spike Lee. Do you want to come with me as my assistant? I said, what time we start? I did that. I get it there, I gotta walk into Spike Lee's office, go in there, see the Michael Jordan stuff, all the paraphernalia, of course. He's got a sticker with all the to-dos. Denzel, call that. I said, oh, okay. Operating at a whole nother level. I thought I was working hard. Operating at a whole nother level. You don't think I know some of you see these celebrities think they're just hanging. They're working. They're working, trying to hold their position in the industry, trying to hold their position in the culture. You do a heavy-duty film like Malcolm X and you don't win? Yeah, you notice he didn't give up. Went right back and made another film. So if you got young people that are trying to do entertainment or trying to do music, study out the field with whatever field it is. Study it out with them. I know that Jane and them, family does that. They get to know who they are. You have that clip? Yeah. Thank you. Play that clip real quick. See if anybody knows it. This is Lafayette Afro Rock Band, group from the 70s. Everybody know that piece? Everybody knows that, right? If you wrote that and you got that sample, let's get a little something. So everybody knows that piece, right? Has anybody ever heard that record though? No. So who was that though? You've heard it with Jay-Z. You've heard it with Public Enemy. Who else? Everybody's used that. But the point I'm showing, this is what, like 1971? Done by a brother named Frank Abel, who's director of marching bands and music out in Long Island. So he told me the story about that. That's his piece. He wrote that song. Everybody else has used this as a sample. Right, so you never know how their music's in. I didn't know about that group. No, they had a rock band from 1971. They went to Paris as kids and stayed over there and became popular rock stars. But I wind that up all to say, mentorship and network.
That is awesome, everybody. Show your love one more time. Please, show your love. Everybody, first of all, give yourself. You got it. First of all, I would say give yourselves a hand for coming out this afternoon and supporting, not just what my friend Bridget is doing, but supporting our youth. That's what this is all about. We want to take this time to turn the mic over to once again the pastor who brings us to his beautiful home to do our benediction and pray for each and every one of us with a word of prayer. Please welcome Pastor Eric Toodles.
We've had here this afternoon. I want to thank, first of all, the Presbyterian men, Dreams with No Limits, and the Christian Education Commission for putting such an afternoon together. And I know this is not the last one. I just want to say one thing. When I was growing up in the third grade, I had a teacher told me I would not amount to anything because I was diagnosed at an early age with a speech impairment. So she said public speaking would not be your thing and you're not going anywhere. And that stuck with me for a long, long time. I hated to speak in public. When anybody called me, I'd run in the opposite direction. So just having one teacher say something to you like that at an early age could put a stigma on you and a stain on you the rest of your life. So you have to overcome what your teachers are telling you. And I never went back and told my parents till years later. And they said, well, if you had said something then, we could have done something then. So when someone, a teacher, a friend, a neighbor, somebody says something that they think you cannot achieve, you go back and tell your parents so they can straighten them out and say, my son or my daughter can achieve. And it took me 10 years to overcome that to get to where I'm at now. The other thing I want to say with the brother here, if you're getting allowance now, what's wrong with taking $2 or $3 from the allowance and putting it on the side? I always had money in my pocket, and my friends couldn't figure out why I had money in my pocket. I didn't do like my father used to say, don't let that money burn a hole in your pocket. I put $1 or $2 on the side, and all summer long I had cash and change jiggling in my pocket. My friends couldn't figure out why. And I told them, I don't spend on my allowance. I put $2 away so that later on when I want something, I had money to buy it. Even though my parents work, I didn't rely on them. It helped me to build a financial backing of my own. And I say that because of the fact I work here, but I also worked 32 years for the city of New York, and now receiving a pension. And I messed up and forgot to change my information in the system. So for the month of November, I didn't get a pension check. It didn't bother me because I had stashed in 2 other places that I could rely on to get me through the month of November. So if you start at a young age doing something like that, you build a financial stability for yourself and for your family, where if something goes wrong, you got funds stashed somewhere. If you need them, you can go and get it. Thank you for that advice. Never too young. So with that, I want to thank you once again, the committee, for putting this together, and Bridget, and Christian, and the Presbyterian men, and Dreams Are No Limit. I hope you have a second date in mind, because 2024 is coming. And we need to do this again for the next group that didn't get here this afternoon, to continue developing young people and preparing them for the future. Because if we don't do it, the streets will. And what the streets teaches them is not the same thing as what we can teach them here in a setting, something like this. Yeah, they get a little boring. You may doze off a bit. But I'm quite sure when you walk from these doors, you are taking something with you. And if you don't remember it tonight, a month or 2 from now, it will hit you, and you remember what you got from a forum such as this. So thank you once again. Can I ask everybody to stand, and we're gonna pray our way to, that's all right. I should have said those that are able to stand, please. So. All right. After the benediction, you'll have an opportunity to network with the speakers and with each other. Walk out of here knowing somebody that you walked in here that you didn't know, and have that number with you. Let us pray. Our God and our Father, we thank you for the day that you have given us, the warmth in the month of December. But we thank you that we can gather and share and teach and instruct each other on our life journey, to share our stories, to share our journey, that someone else may not make the mistake that we made walking through this journey we call life. To build someone up and not tear someone down, to encourage someone, to share a word that would hopefully turn somebody from what they were doing into something they could be doing. To make them a product and not a liability. To make them useful and not wanted. To make them encouraged and know that wherever they go and whoever they enter life journey with, they have a story to share to teach the generation that will come behind them. But Lord, we ask that you give us safe journeys that we can return home to our house tonight, to lay down, to get refreshed for tomorrow, because tomorrow will come, and we will all walk in another life day's journey. And that those that can, please be in church to give thanks and to share in the season of Advent, the season of anticipation, as we wait for the coming of a King. We walk with hope, we walk with peace, we walk with joy, and we walk with love. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Everybody.
I just want to tell everybody thank you. Nobody RSVP'd me. God, pray that it works out. Thank you. You always hold me down. You hold me down. But thank you so much. Look what happened. This is amazing. Let's not leave here. Network. My next stop is New Orleans. I'm meeting with New Orleans, Chicago, Baltimore. We're doing this all over. They're talking about going to Ghana next. We are doing this. Thank you.
Yes. One more big round of applause for Bridget. One more big round of applause for Bridget. She knows how to get it done.
Yeah.